Well, hello, guys, and welcome to this month's live critique. How are you all doing, both?
G'day,
Not too
Paul.
bad.
Tom. It's been a while,
Yeah.
hasn't it? Huh?
Yeah, just a bit, mate. Somebody decided to take off for a month. That was part of
know.
the
Yeah.
issue. I think.
I'm so selfish. I decided to go home to Australia after 3.5 years, didn't I? And
Yeah, what are you thinking for an entire month as well?
I know. Well, we could have done one. It's just that you don't realise that when you're on the other side of the world, when you're down there, it's the it's being in Australia so isolated from the rest of the world, and then you've got this huge time difference. You you feel completely detached from the rest of the world, and that's what I did for 5 weeks. I completely detached myself. It was good for the soul, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. It's
Yeah.
not a bad thing, eh? How's Fatherhood Part 2 going, Tom?
Yeah, not too bad. He's all right, actually. He sleeps pretty good.
See, that's strange. That's
I've
weird.
heard this before, you see. I've
Yeah.
heard this before. Oh, they get all cocky, you see. Yeah, you sleep really good. Yeah, give it a few more weeks and then it all goes Pete Tong, mate.
Well, Willow was a nightmare from day one. So
Oh, really?
anything's better than at the moment. Yeah, no, he's all right, actually. He sort of does 4-hour stints of sleep.
It's
And
not bad.
he does like a 6 or 7 at the moment, but he's hanging. He's got like a chesty cough and cold at the moment, so he's not sleeping great. But yeah, all good. All good.
So you're getting back into the photography then because you've had a bit of a break, eh?
Yeah, I've had a bit of a break. Yeah, you know what it's like. You just sort of you think, oh yeah, it'll be all right, and then when you get home from work, it's just a blur, isn't it? You know, just trying to find like your new routine where like everyone's happy and your house does get tidied. You know what I mean? And it's just you have to sort of do certain things. And yeah, but no, everything's good now. Yeah, everything's good. I've decided that I'm just gonna get up at 5 every morning and and do my editing then.
That's what I do, mate. That's what I do. Yeah.
I don't usually see 5 a.m. to be fair. I'm the laziest photographer going. I don't do mornings.
Well, Paul, you won't be in 2 weeks, mate, because you're going away on a workshop with me, and I'm going to be getting you up at 4 every single morning, mate.
To be fair, I still did it the last time, mate, and I wasn't the one being violently ill over a rock.
That's true. That is true. He was there though, wasn't he?
He was there, but
I was there.
He was in body, not in kind of spirit. I don't think
it was let out on the rock.
Right, so let's get cracking with these first images. So, really want to thank everybody that's put images in this month. There's been some crackers over this last month, hasn't there? In fact, just this last week, I think a lot of them have come in. And they look fantastic.
Last 3 or 4 days, I think people forget that that we have these critiques monthly, so we kind of need to remind people that they do exist.
Sure. Definitely. It's really nice to get back into it.
Yeah, had some really good images come in the last 3 days. Unfortunately, we can't do all of them that came in over the last few days because we've had some really great ones. So if an image of yours doesn't come up this evening, we will definitely try and go through it on the next critique for sure. Unfortunately, there's some last minute ones that we couldn't quite fit in time.
Yeah. Well, I've got 12 here, so let's see how we can crack through them and see if we can get through as many as possible. So we'll start with the first one, which is this beauty by Joseph Mark of Grand Teton National Park. I love this kind of early morning mist rising from, I don't know whether it's a river or a lake. I'm assuming it's a lake because it doesn't look like there's much movement unless it's slow shutter, but it's
very still.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Yeah, very active photographer. This guy I've noticed on the group over the last couple of months, and he's putting up, very different types of photography. It looks like he's really getting stuck into it and shooting some amazing scenes. So good on you, mate, for getting out there and going crazy and capturing some light. That's you've captured light there, haven't you?
Yeah,
it looks awesome.
The case of being there, isn't it? You got to be there to be able to be there in the right time. No.
Yeah. Really difficult to kind of capture light like that as well.
Yeah. that is the light where that just happens, and you have to be there, don't you? Yeah.
So obviously, when people talk about landscape photography, they, you know, the pros out there, the guys have been doing it for years. They will tell you, you know, if you don't have light, you don't have a landscape. So basically referring to the fact that as beautiful as a landscape might be, if you don't have atmosphere or a blend of atmosphere and light that work together to make that scene more special than what it is to the average, you know, person who's going to drive by and see it at midday, you need to capture something specific. So in this instance, you know, we've got fog coming off a lake, I believe, or a river. So, guys, what causes this to happen? This atmospheric phenomenon.
Well,
it's kind of warm air meeting cold, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's fluctuations in temperature. So I can't remember how it works, which way around, whether it's like a warmer water or a colder water meeting warmer. I can't remember which way it is.
Yeah, it's one or the other. They basically meet each other and they create this situation, don't they? But you know, obviously some pre-planning might have gone into this image. So Joseph could have been quite aware that during, you know, his time in this area here, I don't know if it's local to him or not, but there was definitely some form of planning to go to, or it was just sheer luck to be able to capture that scene. It's
just
not
before
easy.
we go any further, mate, I'm just going to interrupt you a minute because Joseph's just left a comment.
Okay.
And he says, "Hey, I'm from South Louisiana and recently moved to Colorado. I've been doing photography for a little over a year with something other than my cell phone."
Well, you're doing a bloody good job of it, mate. Keep it up.
Isn't he just?
Yeah,
and David Skinner also says good day.
G'day, David. How are you, mate?
David?
How's it going, buddy?
Sorry I missed you in Australia. We were that close to seeing each other when I was out now. So maybe definitely next time, mate. Yeah.
So I'll let you get back to it, mate. I just wanted to
one year into it, mate. You're doing a very, very good job. And you know, the images that you're putting up on the group shows that you have a talent, you have an artistic talent, you've got a keen eye, and you're very active and you're out there because you're shooting diverse landscapes. So keep doing what you're doing. And if you love doing it, I'm sure that landscape photography is going to reward you with a lot of joy and pleasure and satisfaction in your life. So great image. Well done with all your images.
For sure. Yeah, I agree totally. And Stephen says he knows the phenomenon and it's warm water with colder air meeting it.
There you go.
I knew it was one way or the other.
Yeah, that's why Henson. In the morning, it's always in the mornings and the evenings, isn't it? Normally,
I think more mornings than evenings.
Mornings,
it's more mornings.
Yeah.
I remember there was a scene I had to go and shoot in Patagonia on a workshop a few years ago, and I took people to this location, and it was supposed to happen on that morning, and we'd calculated it, and we'd seen the weather patterns, and we predicted it was going to happen. We got there, and it didn't.
Yeah,
so it's quite disappointing. Yeah, it's won't happen every day, but
no, definitely not.
No,
it's the kind of photography that can be either planned if you know it really well, or it's reactive.
Yeah.
There's situations where it's both. I mean, I've come across where I've just been driving past somewhere like this, and it just, if it's happening, it's happening.
Yeah.
If you don't know the area that well.
No, it can be very localized as well, can't it? I know it is around our way.
Yeah.
Because we live in a valley, so we get missed quite a lot, especially this time of year. But we can see the hills in the background there. You would think that maybe the mist would get stuck down, kind of like what is it, Abruzzo, doesn't it? Where you get the lower levels and the higher levels, and you get that real drastic temperature change. Probably more it's easier to predict when you're in a situation like that. But
yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Lovely shot, though. Lovely shot. I don't really know what to say about it, really, because it's just, I like it.
Yeah, we're supposed to be critiquing it, aren't we? But at the end of the day, I think you know, composition-wise, it's an intimate image, isn't it? It's not a wide angle. It's quite tight in, I suppose, for a grand scene. I'm not sure what focal length you took it at, mate, but it's quite tight in. I think the composition works. Probably that beam of light that travels through the bottom third of the image there that's slightly off. It's not completely horizontal. Could be a little bit distracting, but that's natural. It's natural.
Yeah.
You can't change that. You
No,
can see
you can't
your
straighten
horizons,
it.
your horizons straight. So
Mm.
no,
Yeah, there's
it's a good
not a lot
image.
you can do about it.
Yeah, look, it's a type of image like that where the light and the atmosphere is that good that it just takes over the image completely, doesn't it? I mean, if that atmosphere wasn't there, we could probably start looking at the image and say maybe that pine tree on the left is a little bit out of whack, or your bottom thirds probably could have been cut back a little bit more, or something. But in this scene, such a powerful atmosphere and powerful light that dominates the whole entire image. There's not much you can kind of criticize, is there? Really, it's just a great image.
Yeah, agree.
No, definitely agree with that. Yeah.
Well done, Joseph.
Good on you,
Fantastic
mate.
image.
Yeah, keep it up, mate. We're
Good job,
looking forward to seeing more of your work on the group, mate. You're doing a really, really good job. Good on you.
Cracking.
Good on you. Keep it up.
Cracking. Just before we progress, for next month, could you use the hashtag OPG critique and submit your images to the official outdoor photography guide for us to get up on screen for next month? It would be fantastic. I've been thinking about another theme for next month, and I was thinking that because we're kind of headed into autumn, maybe autumn themed images would be a good start, because things are starting to change now. So maybe we could get a bit of a head start and go on an autumn theme. What do you think, guys?
Yeah, definitely. Depends where you are in the world, that's for sure, because it is we do have global listeners in, that's for sure. But yeah, definitely. A lot of our listeners are North American and European, so that would sound good. Yeah, be good to have that in, and people from the Southern Hemisphere down Australia, New Zealand way. I'm sure you've got lots of autumn images out that you've taken in the past that you could pop on through.
Yeah, for sure. Right, we'll crack on to the next shot. And this is by Damien Amor, which is Polperro and Cornwall. You'll maybe know this place, do you, Tom?
Yeah. It's typical sort of Cornish scene, tiny little place, not many people. Like really rugged, raw. Yeah, it's a lovely little place. Yeah, lovely little place. Can get some real horrendous weather, and at the same time you get some good sunset. So it offers a lot.
Yeah,
all the way through the day and morning and evening. If you know what I mean. It's good here as well when it is misty and sea sprays come in. It can get some real eerie shots. Or more minimal shots, going a bit tighter, or it offers stuff like this. If you get lucky. But yeah, it's nice. Either way, it's just a nice place to go and stand and watch the sun go down.
Yeah, it looks nice.
If you don't get a picture,
looks lovely.
Yeah,
and it looks like a little boat launch or something like that, doesn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I just love how raw that part of Cornwall is. It's very rugged and
looks jagged.
It's nothing really manicured. Everything gets built into the land. There's not so much destruction going on. There's no sort of. They just sort of plonk stuff wherever they can.
Yeah, wherever there's a gap, basically, rather than creating.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah, that's it. Obviously, it's quite a heavy vignette on this, I would say, to draw your eye through.
Yeah, I was going to say it's quite heavy, isn't it? But it's I think although it's heavy, it kind of works. But maybe it would have worked a bit better if it was feathered a little more.
Yeah, it's quite harsh at the sky. Not so much down in the lower part.
You don't notice as much. It's more in the sky.
No.
I think this is a classic example of an image, like composition. The frame, the scene, the light, the subject, the dominant aspects we have in the image that sort of draw you into various sections of the frame work really, really well. But I think this is a classic example of, okay, you've got yourself a raw file and you've brought up in post-production, and it almost looks as though, and this happens, 85 to 90% of the time now with landscape photography, with any digital photography, really, is that we tend to do post-production for the digital medium.
Yeah.
And when I mean digital medium, I mean the majority of the time social media. So to try and attract attention, not saying that this person's trying to attract attention, but it's made to be extremely dominant so that people see it.
Yeah.
Things like saturation, contrast, vignetting. If you were to do the post production for this image, if its intent was for print, you probably wouldn't go that far down the line with such heavy post production. And I think we're all guilty of that on some occasions, because I look at the image and I think it deserves a little bit more subtle attention to it. Things are a tad heavy, aren't they?
Yeah. I know what you mean.
And don't get me wrong, if Damien, you've taken this image and your pure purpose for this image was to put it up on Instagram and Facebook, and you wanted to get feedback from it purely from social media, and that was your objective, well, that's great. You've probably achieved it, because it's a very striking image, because it is a beautiful scene and you have captured extremely well. But I think sometimes, we are guilty that we need to give sometimes our images a little bit more value and just sometimes back off a little bit. You might get a few less likes on social media, but in the long run, you're going to give that image far more value, because you went to a lot of work to take that image. You went there, you got it at the right occasion. You spent your money on your gear. You've set the scene up perfectly. I mean, the composition is to die for. It's stunning, isn't it? The composition. I mean, you couldn't.
Yeah, it's lovely.
I couldn't say anything wrong about the composition. It's perfect. It works so well. The light coming in, everything gorgeous. As I said, if you just backed off a little bit and gave it maybe a day or two on post-production and were a bit more accurate and a bit more subtle about how you wanted to achieve extracting information out of that file and making it pop in a real sense for print, you would probably, this would be an image that would stay in your catalog forever. You would have it in your portfolio for a long time and be very, very proud of it.
Just want to add a couple of comments before we move on with it a little. It's Josh Minka says, a lovely scene, but I wouldn't have been so heavy on the vignette. And Josh, looking forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks, mate, because he's joining us on a workshop. So that should be good. And David asks, can you increase the image size? Already done for you, pal.
There you go, mate.
Yeah. So sorry, Tom, you were saying?
I was going to say, that I know Damien quite well. Damien's been on a couple of workshops with me. He lives quite local to me, and he just went. This was a recent. Took about 3 or 4 weeks ago, I think, when he was on holiday. But yeah, I agree. Yeah, I can't really fault the composition. It's just a bit heavy for me. But then exactly like kind of what Matt says. What he was trying to achieve for the medium he was putting it on. Different tastes and things like that. But yeah, I would like to see it without that vignette in the sky so much.
Yeah, because I think that attracts a bit too much attention to my eye.
Yeah, it feels a bit sort of heavy. A bit more subtle in the sky would sort of help the image a lot more than.
And I think part of maybe the reason why he's done it is because where those corners are, it's blue sky. So if that's what was bothering him, I think probably what I would have done is maybe it's done it selectively and decreased the saturation on the blues.
Yeah. Just made a very, very, very subtle adjustment on your blues. Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
that's a good idea. Yeah,
which is deadly easy to do, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Just to bring that, because to be honest, I'm not a huge fan of blue either. In skies, I mean, sometimes if it's a bluebird day, you haven't really got a choice in the matter. But if I can help it, no.
No, I know what you mean.
Yeah, unless we want to sell postcards.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. And in that case, then it's a winner, isn't it?
That's why we're poor landscape photographers. We should be selling postcards.
Yeah, you should be selling. It should be in. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. David says the triangular shapes gives the image strength. It does actually. Where in the mid ground there, it really does.
It does.
The triangular, the rock shapes and everything.
It's a very very well thought out composition. No doubt about that. Because a lot of people have just gone, just your standard landscape mode, shot wide. But to choose to go vertical is quite a brave thing to do, I think, and it's worked quite well.
Yeah, definitely. Well done, Damien. It's
good on you, mate.
Image.
Yeah, well done, mate.
Right. I just want to remind people again for next month we're going to go with the theme autumn. Just because a lot of us are approaching autumn, I thought it would be a good theme to go with. So if you could get your images up to the official Outdoor Photography Guide Facebook group using the hashtag OPG critique, we'd love to see your images for next month. So move on to the next image.
Oh,
which is a Damien Amor again, actually. But I wanted to bring this up because we haven't actually had an aerial shot before.
No,
we haven't. No.
So I thought it would be quite interesting to bring up. I'm going to put it up full screen. There we go. So what we're thinking about this?
I like the drone photography. It's kind of like using having a wide angle lens or a telephoto, isn't it? You're trying to show a scene that isn't normally viewed. As an impact. It's a good way to create an impactful image, isn't it? By shooting something that the eye doesn't always see.
Well, that's basically what we do as landscape photographers, isn't it?
That's
we're
it.
Trying to capture scenes that people don't normally see. So
that's what it's all about.
That's it. And if I had a drone, I would 100% be trying to get images, impactful images like that. It's quite common. The crop circles like around my way, they're very common during the summer months, and Damon does a lot. Damon does actually do probably more drone photography than he does. He does like stuff. I think he does stuff for like campsites and things like that.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, it's not unusual for Damon to take aerial stuff.
Lots of lines, isn't it? There's lots of leading lines in this.
It's tons of lines, isn't there? Yeah. When you're that high up, you get patterns, don't you? So it makes it easy, doesn't it? Yeah. When you get that perspective from very high up and far away, you get nature's patterns that just help you to lead you in any direction. Drone photography is completely different again then, isn't it, to what we're used to? And it sort of throws a lot of the rules out of the water, but at the same time, doesn't. I mean, what can you say? How could you critique this image? Yeah, maybe the light in the background's a bit too harsh, but at the same time, maybe it's not. Maybe it actually works. It's a drone image. It's different. It's taken from high up. I mean, the rules of thirds, do they fall into place with this image? Leading lines, where do those lines actually lead us to?
They tend to lead you out of the scene, don't they, or into it, whichever way you want to look at it.
But in this sense, we've got these diagonal lines, sort of from the bottom of the edge traveling off to the middle right. They're not actually going anywhere. So it's one of those images where it tends to throw a lot of our rules that we use that are there for a reason. We don't have these rules in landscape photography because we like to have rules. It's because they're there because the average eye, when it sees the rules of thirds, it sees leading lines, it sees perspective. When a naked eye sees them, we're drawn naturally into a subject. So we have those rules there to help us, guide us for that. And in this sense, it's just a complete...
actually, a couple of people are saying here that they think it's a far stronger image if it was cropped, with the cropping the sky out. Because it's kind of Josh says nice, but the highlights look blown out, so I'd crop lower to the hills. And Darren adds the crop lines are moving out of the frame, and it could do with a replacement sky for sure. David adds, put your hand or a dark piece of card over the sky, much stronger image.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell, isn't it? It's I actually don't mind the blown out sky in the background. It gives atmosphere. It is clearly a daytime shot.
Just let me do this. Hang on.
Oh, you're getting a bit technological now, aren't you, mate? Jeez, you got Okay, so get rid of your ratio, your crop ratio. Okay, yeah. It's definitely cleaner. It's cleaner.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we those leading lines aren't going anywhere, are they? They're sort of just going out of the image. I mean, the most dominant.
There is an intersecting line as well that kind of draws my attention quite more than anything else, because there's a cross pattern right there, and that kind of There's a lot of distractions. That's all I would say.
Yeah, I prefer it that way actually. No sky, but I would. For me personally, I'm like with the abstract stuff. I probably would have shot it from bird's eye looking right on it.
Yeah, top down.
You know what I mean? I don't know whether he did. You know what I mean? Like a real abstract sort of pattern, and put the diagonal lines at 45 across your frame. I would have tried something like that as well. You might have done have done that, but it didn't work. Maybe, but
look, it does that field, that yellow field, does have symmetry within itself. I mean, it does take up a half of the frame, and you see if those lines come in, they meet in the middle. You've got the crop right in the middle there. It all works in that sense. You can understand why the composition is that way. It's just that we have these the shadows. The shadows dominate the leading lines, and because of that, that is far more dominant than anything else. But as I said, these are types of scenes that are quite complex to try and fathom, aren't they? These
they're not easy, are they?
Yeah, that's a different perspective. It's something we don't normally see with the naked eye, is it? So when we're viewing a landscape, classic landscape, when we try and compose it, we're composing it as we would with the naked eye. And in this case, the naked eye doesn't see this unless you're Superman, or
well, I like it. It has got aspects of it I do like. It's just
I like it.
It's just slightly off for me. That's all.
Mate, great shot though. It's a far better drone image than I've ever taken, because I've never taken one. But still, great stuff, mate. Great stuff.
Right, before we move on to the next image, then just want to remind people again. So next month's theme is going to be autumn, and use the hashtag OPG critique and submit your image to the official Outdoor Photography Guide group. And also, while we're just stopped for a minute, I want to remind you that today is the last day to get your entries in for enter for the sweepstakes. So if you go to the page, Outdoor Photography Guide, it's got some Summer 2022 sweepstakes, and today is the last day to enter. So if you there's some fantastic prizes on offer. There's a OM1 camera kit, Bay Photo, Tamron lens. Yeah, some great prizes there. So get your entries in for that.
So all you have to do is just enter your email and just go enter now.
Just pop enter your email in there. Job done.
No brainer.
Yeah, definitely. So head over there and get that entered. Yeah, nothing to lose, basically, eh?
No, at the end of this live, go straight onto it and get it done. Don't do it while we're doing the live, because then you'll be distracted.
Right, let me just have another look here. So, right, where was I? This one caught my eye. That's lovely. I just wanted to remind myself who that was, and it's Andres Pugaros. If I don't know whether I've butchered that, sorry if I have, but Yeah, that's a lovely image. I like that. It's my kind of image.
Yeah, I could look at that all day. Lots. I
really like it.
love the little road as well going through.
Yeah,
Is that
there's
a road?
lots
Is that
I
a
like
road? That
about it. Yeah, there's
on the
lots I
bottom
like
right,
about
and
it.
it's sort of.
Really nice. I like the toning as well.
Yeah, the shadows are not too dark, are they? That it's distracting. The detail there.
Yeah.
Highlights
It's
are
light.
not
It's
too.
light on landscape, isn't it, Tom? It's
Yeah,
light on
it
landscape.
is. It is. It's not really a lot I can say. Constructive criticism. I don't really know how you would critique this, because, like you said, you are capturing a moment of magical light.
White
So
balance.
who
What do you think of the white balance? Do you think it's a
it's a
tad
bit.
warm?
It's a tad warm.
Yeah.
It's a tad warm in the midground, I think. Like, it's got a greeny sort of tinge. I don't know. Yeah, maybe the white balance.
Compositionally, it's
that might
excellent,
be
isn't it?
intentional though. That
Yeah.
white balance might be intentional. It's really subjective, isn't it? What
Well,
tones you actually like in an image. So it could be intentional. It's hard to tell.
Thing is,
definitely.
it's that sort of. You go, mate. Sorry.
No, you're right. You go.
I was just going to say, it's that sort of barren, dry sort of environment, isn't it? So I dare say it's going to be a bit, like that's going to have that sort of earthy tones to them, to the image, maybe. Anyway, yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, yeah. It's just lots to look at when your eye does get pulled through, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does lead you through really nicely. Actually, there's no one point that's really pulls your attention more than anywhere else. So that kind of forces you to make your eye to look at the whole picture, I think.
So we've got Josh
like
that's brought up a few comments here, mate. So
yeah,
about the image.
I've been doing a lot of these shots recently too, punching in with the 70-200, lovely tonal quality in the layers. Josh adds, I've been tempted to go black and white and up the contrast on these sorts of images.
Yeah, it does. They do offer that sort of creative license, don't they? These images.
Yeah.
You could go really far out and black and white it and really make it grungy, or you can. I think what he's trying to do is. I do think that's quite true to what he's probably saw. Do you not think?
Yeah, quite possibly. Quite possibly.
Or not?
Yeah. I think that the white balance. Well, looking on the computer screen we've got here, mind you, that we don't have the best quality images that we could possibly view from our end. So it would be nice if we could actually pop them up in our own color calibrated screens at home and look at them. But judging from what I'm seeing from this end, it is quite warmer than reality. I think in a scene like this, I think it would be a little bit, whether that was intentional or that was something the camera picked up. When we have to use automatic white balance and sometimes it picks up those warmer tones and makes a universal adjustment in your white balance in your camera. So it's either one or the other, but definitely it's a little bit warmer than reality. With my experience out on similar landscapes like this, in Argentina, I've come across many scenes like this, and they're not quite that warm. Even with a really, really lovely sunset coming in or sunrise. But yeah, it's definitely beautiful. You look at it and you can almost feel like you want to be there, don't you? And that's what makes this image makes it striking. I mean, it's obviously the conditions, like we said before. If you don't have light, you don't have a landscape. We definitely have light here because we've got this dappled light running through the whole entire scene from the immediate foreground into the background. Obviously, the background's more prominent, isn't it? That light, and so it sort of leads you into that more prominent light that you have as you travel further and further back.
Yeah.
And got this beautiful natural frame of the storm at the top there, so it sort of closes that sky off that would otherwise be just a very boring sky, but having this storm gives you a lovely natural frame through the top. It just your eye just naturally just stays down low, doesn't it? And just travel through the image. So yeah, it's really, really good. I'll be interested to see what this image is like on a color calibrated screen. And
for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
David adds maybe bring out the hills just a tad across the mid frame bright area. See, I'm not sure about that, to be honest, because I think actually this or it has a really nice depth about it.
Yeah, I feel
I wouldn't really interfere with that depth by trying to bring anything else out, because I think it's already got one of your things, Matt, is that contrast depth, and it's certainly got that, because it's a lot more contrasty in the foreground than it is at the back, which gives it really nice separation and depth to it.
Yeah. A little tip in post production, if you want to give some depth to your image, and you don't want to overdo it too much. You might have a very contrasty scene already, but you want to give it a bit more depth. You want to make those highlights pop a little bit more. A good thing to do is just to use your slider in post-production, whether it's in Lightroom or Photoshop, and reduce your contrast off just a little bit by 20%. And then go down to your whites slider and increase your whites. Now, what that does is makes a big separation in your contrast. So it then enhances those highlights. And in a scene like this, that's what you want to achieve. You want to achieve an enhancement of those highlights, because that's what gives it dimension. And if you try something like that in this scene, if I was to get this scene now and just enhance, bring up my whites, it would be far too punchy. But reduce your contrast first, and then just locally grab your whites and slide them up. I think with an image like this, it will work. It will work quite well.
Totally agree.
But yeah, it's a great image, mate. Well done. Again, we're here to critique, and we can pick anything out of an image. But at the end of the day, we've picked these images because we like them and because they're unique, and we can have a discussion about them. So please, in any way, don't be offended if we talk about them and say maybe this could be better, maybe that could be better. It's all subjective, isn't it? And personal at the same time. So
it is. That could almost even be it could be a drone image as well, couldn't it? I'm assuming he sat on top of it, stood half up a hill, looking at Vantage Point. But that could be a drone image, couldn't it? You know what I mean? Because you're sort of that immediate foreground is far away and a lot lower elevation than where he is. Yeah. What a great shot. I'm looking at it thinking, oh, that long 100 to 400. There's so much detail out there that you could pick out, isn't there?
Yeah.
Wow. Now that you've got the wider shot. Yeah, amazing.
Josh adds, this is the light you dream of when you've carried all your gear up a mountain, slept in a tent and stared at a clear outside from 5 a.m.
Definitely.
It's definitely right.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me, where it reminds me of is looking at the hills from Rocky Calaccio. Where off towards where the church is, and you're looking beyond and you've got all those hills. That's what it reminded me of when I saw it.
Definitely. Yeah.
It's got that feel.
Yeah, it's a similar scene, isn't it? For sure.
Yeah.
And each time you go to a location like this, every single time is completely different, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Lovely image, mate, anyway.
Yeah, great stuff. On you, Andres.
I'm just going to move on to the next one and just remind you all to get your images in for next month using the hashtag OPG critique, and get those submitted to the official Outdoor Photography Guide Facebook page.
And if you don't, we'll hunt you down.
Mr. Skinner, this is one of yours, mate.
Home, titled Home.
Home. That is home. That's my home too. Yeah, like I saw this, and it just for me personally, because I've just come back from Australia. This is taken in Australia. This scene here, you have these areas out in Australia, especially the massive areas that they're purely used for cattle. We're talking about places the size of England, and maybe just one bloke owns the bit of land, and you have these gum trees. Obviously, you know, all of Australia once upon a time was completely covered in eucalyptus gum trees everywhere. That you know, for reasons, you know, for having cattle or grazing or however you want to call it. A lot of these trees have been logged, and some of them have remained. And then over the years, they you get a few of these trees. I don't know whether they're actually been poisoned or they just died off on their own, but they still stand. And they're beautiful to see. It's quite a common scene to see when you're traveling out in the countryside in Australia. You have these big open areas and you see these eucalyptus trees, dead eucalyptus trees, just standing on their own. They've got that very spooky feel to it.
Yeah,
there's that desert in, is it Namibia, that everyone photographs with these dead fossilized trees? It's that type of scene, but it's literally everywhere in Australia. So it's a common thing for an Australian to see, but to capture it in a good light is beautiful. Yeah, it's for me as an Australian, I look at an image like this and it's very emotional. So good on you, mate.
Yeah, it's lovely. It sort of, I've never been to Australia, but I can imagine that's what I would expect to see, and that's the sort of thing that I would want to go and shoot if I was in Australia.
Yeah.
You twig cuddler.
Yeah. Well, I'm always looking for trees, pal.
Yeah.
Even the dead ones. Dead ones have got character as well.
They certainly do.
Yeah.
They have
definitely. Yeah, because they obviously got no leaves on them. You really see the bare bones of the life that, well, I suppose, I know they're dead, but like it's almost like like
a graveyard
tree.
A graveyard. Yeah, it's
See, it's funny. It's funny when we get into winter and the trees lose all their leaves. I hate that.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's hard, isn't it?
Hate it. It puts me right off woodland photography at that point. It does. I just don't like it at that time of year. I just don't like the look of trees with no leaves on them.
Yeah, I struggle in the woods when it's like that. But yeah.
We've got David's written up now. He said, this was a man-made lake for dairy farming. There you go. Then drained, trying to turn back to wetland. The trees died in the water. Winton wetlands. There you go. Right. So that's why they died. Yeah.
All right. A lot of history then, really, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah, in definitely. The image.
They're beautiful, for people who don't know much about Australia. They don't know anything about eucalyptus trees. Eucalyptus, there's thousands of varieties of eucalyptus trees. And for me, they're the most beautiful tree that exists. There are so many varieties of them. And depending where you are in Australia, whether you can be up in the highlands, over 2,000 meters in height, or down in the wetland areas, they completely change into another type of tree. And, they're beautiful to capture. So if you're into landscape photography or outdoor photography and you want to go out to Australia, you definitely have some fun shooting trees out in Australia. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now then, David, I'm going to be picky here, mate. I just want to point out a couple of things to you. One here.
Spot. Yeah.
Yeah. Another one here. Another one here. Another one here.
As there's one there, yeah.
Another one here.
There's quite a few, yeah, when you get looking.
Another one here. They're everywhere, mate. I would go over an image like this with a fine-tooth comb and either clean your sensor. or go in afterwards and clean it up a bit. Because that not the rest of them. There's two that are really distracting for me. There's one there that's just in the lighter area of the image, and this dark one here that's right beside that tree.
Do you know, I can only see on my screen, I can only see that one you've pointed at now. I think it's probably because you get a better resolution from your end. You can see the images a bit better.
Yeah,
which a lot of our audience might struggle to see them with the resolutions coming off the live.
Yeah,
there is one down the bottom there you popped out. That's evident.
That one there.
But yeah.
I can see that one and the other one, Paul. Down there.
Yeah.
That's the only two I can see.
Yeah, there's quite a few I can see on my screen.
Actually,
anyway.
I can see one up there, actually. No, I can see a couple up there.
Yeah, there's quite a few. I would just double check it, David. That's all I would say. I'll get your sensor clean, mate, because it looks quite as though it's a problem right across your sensor. To be honest,
It is, yeah. Yep, for
It's
sure.
the trouble, isn't it? When you got like a blue sky, there's nowhere to hide, is there?
no,
You know,
no, definitely not.
Yeah.
That's to be honest though. That if I was criticizing anything, that would be it. That would be it. To be honest with you.
I love the light on the little sort of grass of the bushes on the ground.
It's nice, isn't it?
Yeah, sort of. Again, Matt, it adds a dimension, doesn't it?
Makes you want to sit back with a camping chair and a beer in your hand and just watch that sun come up.
Because it's quite.
come down.
Yeah. It's quite. I think without that, it's quite a clever way of adding depth. Because if you didn't have them little bushes, given that sort of 3D, it's very hard, isn't it? It's very hard to make a shot with like silhouetted shot. Like silhouetted shots tend to be very flat, don't they? 2-dimensional.
Yeah.
So without them, it wouldn't be half an image, I don't think. But yeah, it's nice.
Lovely, mate. Lovely.
Thanks, David, and we appreciate your contribution to the group. You're always
we do.
Putting lots of images in for everyone to see, and we thank you for that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Oh, every month, mate, you're putting it in.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Right, just before we move on again, we're cracking through them slowly but surely. Get your images in for next month using the hashtag OPG critique and submit them to the official Outdoor Photography Guide Facebook group. And we're going to go with autumn for next month, I think, as we're kind of approaching that time, or a lot of us are.
Can't wait for autumn.
Yeah, I look forward to it as well, to be fair.
Yeah.
The trees are just starting to change a bit now.
Yeah, they have been quite early down our way, I think, because of the heat.
Yeah,
the trees have actually. I read an article about it, and because of the drought that we've had in Europe, we've basically the earth is just completely dry, and it has been since early spring, hasn't it? So the trees have gone into like a dormant phase. So they've forced themselves to avoid the tree dying. So rather than giving nutrients to the leaves, the tree has actually put itself into a dormant phase. So autumn, early. So they've made their leaves dry out to actually save the tree itself.
Yeah,
scary stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
It's clever stuff. Yeah.
Right, so on with the next image, which is another workshop participant, Mr. Theo Lawrence.
Go, Theo. Lovely spot, wherever this is. Hang on, he did have a description somewhere, didn't he, where this was? Wouldn't mind going there.
Just come out of here. It's Cannon Beach.
Cannon Beach.
Which is in... let's see if I can find... Just for the...
is it Oregon?
Just for the listeners out there. It's,
it looks a bit like that, doesn't it?
I have a feeling it's Oregon.
Yeah, I recognise them sea stacks.
Yeah, it's Oregon.
Oregon coast. Yeah, that looks like a lovely place, doesn't it? Extremely saturated, isn't it, with landscape photographers in the last 4 or 5 years? There's a lot of landscape photographers around that area.
I can see why, though.
Well, it's not just the Oregon coast; it's the whole entire area. That whole entire area has got beautiful coastline. It's got mountains, waterfalls, rainforests. It has everything.
Yeah,
all in the whole entire area, Oregon. So it's got. Yeah. I think it's. I read somewhere there's like the highest concentration of landscape photographers anywhere else in the world, just in that area there. That's why we see so many images coming out of the Oregon region because of that. And rightfully so. What a beautiful shot, beautiful place. Look at that. What a scene.
That looks like a Fuji panel if ever I've seen one. It's not, but it really looks like that. So my favourite aspect.
He likes that panel more than I like trees, I think.
Yeah, I do. Mate, I'm addicted to that panel.
Yeah, see, there's a raw file like that. You can only get it with a Pentax. No. Come on, jokes aside. I love the crop. Works really well, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
I love that crop. It works so well for a lot of images.
Definitely does. Definitely does. It just simplifies the image out, doesn't it? It just gets rid of distractions,
Yeah.
and it's really, really, really nice. I
Would
like the
look
way that
really
he's
nice.
lifted those shadows and those rock formations too. They're just nicely lifted, aren't they? They're not they're
Not over.
not too bright. It looks as though the noise levels within those shadows are quite well controlled. Again, Pentax. It done a really good job of lifting those shadows overall. Even the shadows in the water coming off those rock formations,
Yeah.
beautifully well done, aren't they? Huh? Yeah, I
Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
because obviously
And then
seeing
what?
like this, you
Yeah.
get a very bright sky, so the raw image itself, those rock areas would have been quite dark, wouldn't they? You would have had to have lifted them
Yeah.
in post production.
Yeah.
So,
I would have thought so because they're
Yeah.
going to be almost silhouetted, aren't they?
mm, mm, mm. But I like the way
Yeah.
he's lifted them. Very effective.
The way the light hits that sort of island on the left, sort of rocky out island, it's nice and
this one
bright
out
as
here.
well. Yeah, on the
Mm.
left. Yeah, so your eye gets
Yeah.
sort of pulled. Well, my eye sort of goes in right hand third and then moves across left.
Yeah.
And the sky sort of pulls you that way as well. Yeah, it's nice. I like it.
Yeah.
I like the fact it's got got the goals in there as well. So it sort of gives you that sort of reality, another layer of reality, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sort of
Look, there's
like peaceful sort of a feel to it.
Tom, there's images like this, and you see them so many times, and we see them in our own photography. When I talk about own photography, I mean us three, and you guys have heard me talk about it before too. I mean, there's one thing it does lack, and that's up to a lot of the time how our actually camera captures that image, and it's just that touch of atmosphere, and you can have sometimes that little bit of soft light. Okay, for example, if you're looking at this scene, let's say that the sun was actually coming over from the right hand side, so maybe just out of the frame on the right hand side. And it might have just been lifting or about to lift over those clouds, and it didn't quite capture that haze or that glare from the sun coming through, and because of that, your sensor didn't pick anything up. So you've got a beautiful scene with lovely light, but no atmosphere. Okay. So there is something you can do in post-production that I tend to do, but I'm very, very, very subtle with it. And it can really make an image stand out just that little bit more and just give it a bit more mood. As if you just add in post-production a very big, soft paintbrush, but I'm talking very, very big, and just bring it to like 2% opacity or something, and just dapple it into just one corner, just 2 or 3 times. And obviously you can go and drop the opacity off in your layer, and sometimes it just gives that effect, but it's so subtle you can hardly even see it. But overall in the scene, it makes such a difference. It just gives you the understanding that there is direction of light, so light is coming from somewhere, and it gives you the atmosphere. So here we don't understand what direction the light is coming from, and
I would suggest it's coming from the left.
Yeah, look, it is hard to tell, isn't it? You can't be certain. You can't be certain. But to the naked eye, if you show the viewer the direction of light, these images are they're far more pleasing. So, like I said, this is manipulation. It's not extraction in our raw files. But sometimes little tiny things like that, when they're extremely, extremely subtle, they make a big difference. So Theo, when we're out, mate, I'll show you that little trick, and you'd be surprised. It's quite nice.
Yeah, definitely. I do that a lot in my images. When you've got 99% of what you want, sometimes you just need a little push, and yeah, very subtle. Yeah, like making it a thumbnail and toggling the layer on and off.
Yeah,
gives you a good indication as well whether it's worth doing or not, or whether you've ever done it. Because, like Matt said, I don't think I've ever done it over 2% opacity. Well, with the brush, you can dial it up. You can dial it back after the whole layer afterwards, but you want to go easy with it, but it can make all the difference for sure.
I was saying the other day, wasn't I? I was saying I used to do it more than I do now. I'm finding since I switched that I don't have to do it quite as much because the Fuji
Here we go.
picks that haze up quite well. It just does.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
even I found that the other day when I was at Lindisfarne the other day, and I was taking shots of boats. I don't know whether you saw that shot, but
Yeah.
I didn't have to do anything to it. It was just there.
Yeah.
You know, it just does a better job than the R2 did. It does a way better job than the Sony A7R2 did of it anyway.
Yeah.
And I find I don't have to do it quite as. I mean, I still do it, but I don't have to do it as much as I did.
Yeah, because like in an image like this, you know, I lived by the coast for 10 years, and there will 100% be like sea spray, and where the waves are hitting them rocks, in between them little rocks, there will be some haze and mist kicking about.
Yeah.
That if there was light, directional light, that it would definitely illuminate it. You know what I mean? And create atmosphere. So it's doing what Matt said is nowhere out of the ordinary to what would have been there or could be there. So it's not exactly as if we're suggesting, you know, putting lightning bolts and rainbows in. It's just
it's like I said. These are extremely well controlled, very, very, very subtle changes that like I said, the normal naked eye wouldn't even be able to notice it. But when you look at an image overall, it does make them just not pop, but just give it a little bit more emotion. Understanding where light is coming from and forcing you to go in a certain direction.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well done, Theo.
Yeah,
Great.
well done, mate. One thing I will say.
Yeah.
One thing I will say, Theo, before you come on the trip, mate, sensor police are out. I've seen some more dust spots. There's one up here.
Oh yeah, I see him. Yeah.
There's another one. Where did I see it? Oh, it's down here, just there.
You get your sensor alert on tonight, mate, haven't you?
I've got my sensor alert. I can just see dust spots everywhere. It's either that or I'm not wearing glasses. It can't be on the glasses.
I'm seeing spots everywhere, but I think that's because I only slept 3 hours last night, so it's a bit yeah.
Well done, Theo, mate. I look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks.
Yes, buddy.
Right. I think we'll get one more in.
One more in, shall we?
Just want to remind people for next month, we're going to use the theme of autumn and use the hashtag OPG critique and submit it to the official Outdoor Photography Guide Facebook group, please. Love to see some more of these images because honestly, the images that are coming in are just beautiful. Some of them now, they really are.
Yeah, some crackers.
Where was I? I think it was this one. It's Andreas again.
He's definitely got an eye for light, isn't he?
Oh, he does. He's certainly captured some beautiful light in some of his images, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
That's the kind of light I love as well. Just where it's just appearing through the cloud.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah. It's got quite a lot of mystery about the image, isn't it?
Yeah.
How do I say it? It's pulls you in. Very subtle at the same time, though. Like the layers, the pastel sort of foreground.
Yeah, I'm actually trying to work out where he's focused because I actually think he's focused on the sky.
Yeah, I was to say up the top there.
Yeah, because this patch here looks quite sharp, and down here looks really soft.
Yeah, really
I think
hazy,
that's due to the atmosphere in the you've got a certain type of atmosphere that's created by the by the warmth, the evaporation, all that type of stuff that gives you the impression that it's not sharp. I mean, looking higher up there, I mean, when you're looking at focal lengths like that, that's quite a long focal length. I mean, everything's pretty much going to be sharp. It's just an abstract. It's something it's brave because you don't see much of it, and you could just sort of interpret it into anything. But it's an abstract, isn't it? And
I think it works well because it's got a bit of the dark land in the bottom part of the frame. I think if that wasn't there, I'm not sure it would work quite as well.
Yeah, it's sort of we're well balanced top across the top of the bottom. Maybe, yeah.
It's a shame it didn't have just that tad more. I can understand that he hasn't given it importance, that bottom area, but I think just a little bit more, that extra 2-3, centimeters of the frame in that bottom section there, just to show just a little bit of curvature to sort of give you a slight understanding of what we're dealing with as far as the landscape goes. But yeah, obviously the whole importance is the dappled light within those clouds, that top dominant area, with those beams sort of coming down and then shimmering down onto, I'm assuming is water, or is it sea
It's
down in the bottom
sea,
area
is
there?
it?
Yeah.
Sea, yeah.
Yeah. So
reminds me of a shot that I took in Harris, actually, where I did.
I think
I got
remember.
the spotlighting coming through the. Yeah, it's that kind of feel about it.
It's David's saying here, even with warm colours, it's peaceful. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, yeah, it's quite impactful but peaceful at the same time.
Yeah, it's a very abstract image, isn't it? The beautiful, beautiful types of landscapes images to play with. Sometimes it's good to look away from the grand scene and try and fine tune details. A lot of people that have had a look at my tutorials within outdoor photography, especially the last video I did when we were out doing a shoot at a waterfall scene, walking away from the waterfall. I was discussing how we can look and sort of hone in on fine details and abstracts within landscapes themselves. When you can find them, extremely, extremely rewarding. Number one, because you almost feel like they're yours. Rather than going and shooting, Yosemite, for example, which I've never done, but I know a lot of Northern American people do. Try and hone in on a little tree that might just be sitting there on its own, and the branches and its harmony within that scene. They're very rewarding because they're yours, and sometimes these this abstract perspective to the whole imagery is might not be as important to who's viewing the image, but definitely more rewarding for you. And at the end of the day,
I agree.
End of the day, we shoot images half for us, half for our audience, don't we? So like I said, they're very rewarding.
I think it's always good. I think it's always good if you're going out somewhere to shoot a particular location and it's a grand landscape you're shooting out. It's always good to get that shot and then focus your attention on finding something unique.
Yeah, it is
something that really appeals to you. I mean, my rule is basically if it's captured your attention, then there's something worth capturing.
Definitely.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because each person has that something that appeals to them. So if it's gained your attention, then you go for it and make something of it.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. I'm very guilty of using the long lens maybe too much, but for that reason, that exact reason.
Yeah. Well, that's it. Just before we move off, Joseph says, "Hey, just joining and starting from the beginning. The shot of the mist of the river that you critiqued was somewhat a combination of planning and luck. I was at the location waiting for a herd of elk to swim across the river. Unfortunately, the elk crossed at a different location on this morning. Got them previously, though."
Wow, good story to go with that. I like that. Yeah,
fantastic. Fantastic.
Keep going, buddy. You'll get both one day.
yeah, definitely. What an image, eh?
Wow.
Well, guys, thanks very much, everyone, for joining us. What a fantastic critique this has been this month, and look forward to seeing your images next month. Remember, the theme's autumn, and use the hashtag OPG critique. Submit your images to the official Outdoor Photography Guide Facebook group, and would love to see them for next month. Thanks, you two, for joining me as well, and we'll all see you next month. Thanks very much.
Cheers,
see you
guys.
later.
Well, mate.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
See you later, everyone. Bye.